And we are back, but I'm looking at the stream and it disconnected. So once again, I have two separate VODs. Okay, that is odd as all hell. I'll have to look into why does it keep disconnecting. Alright. But we are streaming, so let's just get back into it. Alright, so what is the DOM? The Document Object Model, abbreviated DOM, is a powerful tree-like structure that allows programmers to conceptualize hierarchy and access the elements on a web page. The DOM is one of the better named acronyms in the field of web development. In fact, a useful way to understand what DOM does is by breaking down the acronym, but out of order. The DOM is a logical tree-like model that organizes a web page's HTML document as an object. The DOM is implemented by browsers to allow JavaScript to access, modify, and update the structure of an HTML web page in an organized way. So for this reason, we like to think of the DOM as the link between an HTML web page and scripting languages. Okay. Then we have it as a tree structure, which is pretty much what the video showed. Blah, blah, blah. These charts represent familiar relationships. Let's not waste time rehashing the same thing that we did before. Node is an intersecting point in the tree that contains data. Right. Everything's the same as the video. Parent-child relationships. Following the metaphor of a family tree, let's define some key terminology in the DOM hierarchy. A parent node is a node that is a direct ancestor of another node. Okay, and a child node is a direct descendant of another node called the parent node. Knowing these terms will allow you to understand and discuss the DOM as a tree-like structure. In fact, you will also see this terminology used when referring to the nesting structure of HTML code. Programmers refer to elements nested inside other elements as the children elements and parent elements, respectively. Alright, so add the appropriate HTML elements to the index file so that it reflects the tree diagram on the right. Sure. So we have the document, which is the HTML. Oh, we have the document as in the document itself. Then we have the head. No, we have the HTML, right? Then we have the head. And the head should have a title. And then the title itself. So let's add the title. Title. And title. Title. Or the title. Title. How many times more can I say title? And it has the body with the H1, which has the heading. Yeah. And we have a div with two paragraphs. So we also need a div here. And we simply indent those like so. Summary description. Yep. Cool. Nodes and elements in DOM. As mentioned, a node is the equivalent of each family member in a family tree. A node is an intersecting point in a tree that also contains data. So there are multiple types of node objects in the DOM tree. In our diagram, the node objects with the sharp edge rectangles are element nodes. Right, so these are element nodes. And the ones with rounded edges are text nodes, because they represent the text inside the HTML paragraph elements. Well, not necessarily paragraph, but yeah. When trying to modify a web page, the script will mostly interact with the DOM element nodes and occasionally text nodes. All right, so yeah. Attributes. DOM element nodes. DOM element node. Nodes model elements. What? DOM element nodes model elements. DOM element nodes model elements in an HTML document. Holy crap, that's a confusing sentence. Much like an element in an HTML page, the DOM allows us to access a node's attributes, such as its class, ID, and inline style. In the diagram to the right, we have a highlighted paragraph element with an ID of bio. Here. ID, bio, style, blue. All right. If we're accessing that element node in our script, the DOM would allow us to tweak each of those attributes or simply access them to check their values in the code. I see. So the syntax is actually a little bit reminiscent of JavaScript in how we initiate objects. Like, for example, style, right? If we added parentheses and enclosed this in curly brackets, we would have an object. All right, so I guess we learned it. The document keyword. The document object model, abbreviated DOM, is a powerful tree-like structure. Holy crap, how many times are you going to repeat the same thing? First things first, the document object in JavaScript is the door to the DOM structure. The document object allows you to access the root node of the DOM tree. Makes sense. Before you can access a specific element in the page, first you must access the document structure itself. And the document object allows scripts to access children of the DOM as properties. For example, if you want to access the body element from your script, you can access it as a property of the document object by using document body. This property will return the body element of that DOM, which is interesting because the body element is not necessarily the direct child of the document element. It's the grandchild. But it's cool that we can just access whatever we need willy-nilly. So then we don't have to traverse the entirety of the tree structure. Like if we needed to change the title, we don't have to write document.html.head.title and then change the title. So that's good. Okay. Next. Tweak an element. When using the DOM in your script to access an HTML element, whether it's a list element or the entire body element, you also have full access of the element's properties. This includes the ability to modify the contents of the element as well as its attributes and properties, which can range from modifying the text inside a paragraph element to assigning a new background color to a div. For example, the inner HTML property allows you to access and set the contents of an element, inner HTML. Okay, That's important to remember, I guess. Let's take a look at how can we reassign the contents of the body element to the text, "The cat loves the dog." So by doing body.innerHTML, what exactly are we accessing? We're accessing the entire body. The inner HTML property can also add any valid HTML elements. The following example replaces the content of the body element by assigning an h2 element as a child inside the body element. So what? But it's probably going to replace everything in here if we like call this, if we use this line of code, because it doesn't know which specific element it should replace. Or does this include it? Still not sure about that one. Okay, use inner HTML property to modify the content of the body element to display an h1 heading with the text, "This is now the heading of the body element." Yeah, notice how the previous content inside the body element has been replaced. Okay. So I assume we do it here. No, we do it here. Main.js. Yeah, because it loads this. Okay, so document dot body dot inner HTML equals, "This is now the heading of the body element." Yeah. All right, so it replaces everything. If we don't specify specifically which element we want to change. Did you add an h1? No, I didn't. There. Wait, what? Oh, we're supposed to add these clause thingies, because we're directly inserting a specific line into the body as HTML. Okay, I get it. Select and modify elements. In the previous exercise, we accessed the body element with the document keyword. What if we wanted to select a specific element besides the entire body element? The DOM interface allows us to access specific element with the CSS selectors. CSS selectors define the elements to which a set of CSS rules apply, but we can also use the same selectors to access DOM elements with JavaScript. Selectors can include a tag name, a class, or an ID. The query selector method allows us to specify a CSS selector as a string and returns the first element that matches that selector. The following code would return the first paragraph in the document. Query selector and P. Okay, along with the query selector, JavaScript has more targeted methods that select elements based on their class, ID, or tag name. For example, if you want to access an element by its ID, you can use the aptly named getElementById method. So it returns the first element with this ID. We selected an element with an ID bio. or not the first element, just the only element, because IDs can't repeat. Notice that the ID is passed as a string wrapped in quotation marks. There are also the get element by class name and get element by tag name methods, which return an array of elements instead of just one element. You can use bracket notation to access individual elements of an array. Oh. Okay. So, let's use the query selector method to select the first H1 element, access that element's inner HTML property to change the H1 title to most popular Harry Potter characters. Okay, so we just do document dot query selector H1, right? And then dot inner HTML equals most popular, no, yes, most popular Harry Potter characters. No. We have the body. Questry. Yes, it works. Yes, inner HTML accesses the inner HTML of the H1 element, which in this case is just this. Okay. Use the getElement by ID method to access the element with an ID of 4th. Set that element's inner HTML to read Professor Snape. All right, document dot wait, query selector does what? A CSS selector. Oh, just element. Right. Just so if we want to access by the ID, we just do get element by ID, and we specify the ID to be 4th. And then inner HTML becomes Professor Snape. Right? Right. Voldemort's the 3rd most popular? I don't believe it. Okay. Then we need to use one by the class name to access the Slytherin and change it to Salazar Slytherin. So pretty standard stuff. Document dot get element by class name and Slytherin. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And inner HTML equals Salazar Slytherin. Be Slytherin in your DMs. Wait, no. by class name, right? Get element by class name. Expected dot Slytherin to contain Salazar Slytherin. Or so we get the element. We get the first element. Salazar. Element by class name should return the first element Oh, it returns an array of elements. So, by doing this, and then copying the same thing, and doing this, no. Am I misspelling something? Doesn't seem like it. Let's see what we get. Console log. Are we even gonna get a console log? But document dot. Just copy paste the damn thing. No. Mean it should. There's probably some small mistake that I'm making here. Use the get elements by class name. Yeah. Like I said, small mistake. Use the get elements by tag name method to access the first element with the li tag. Access that element's inner HTML to replace the contents to read Dobby. So document dot get elements elements by tag name. Right. And then the tag is ly. We also want the first element, and we change the inner HTML into Dobby. There we go. Codecademy is throwing shade on Harry Potter, insinuating that Dobby is above Hermione Granger And Salazar Slytherin is above Hagrid. Never mind. Oh, hey, check him. How's it going? Woke up late? Good for you. Get to sleep in then. We finished the project on the, what was it? Organism. And now we are diving headfirst into building interactive websites, or essentially just using, learning about DOM and how to incorporate JavaScript into the whole shebang. But I'm getting sleepy. DOM is the funniest part to you? How come? At least you can graphically see what you can create, what you create. Like me specifically, or as you're working in DOM, you have that ability. Because if you're just doing a project, you should still be able to do that either way. Or are you... Okay, I'm confused. Never mind. Okay, so another way to modify an element is by changing its CSS style. The style property of a DOM element provides access to the inline style of that HTML tag. Okay. For example, you have an array of items. With DOM manipulation, you can loop through it and create an actual HTML list. You can loop through it and create an actual HTML list. It's a bit hard for me to imagine how at this moment, but I will take your word for it. Maybe we'll have to do that here at some point. So the syntax follows an element.style.property format with property representing a CSS property. Okay, so we just say element. Wait, oh yeah, element.style.property. Why do we have to say property when we're already saying that, hey, this style property? But okay. For example, the following code selects the first element with a class of blue and assigns blue as the background color. So we assign that to a variable query selector blue dot blue. That's good to know. Okay, because I guess using query selector, we have to specify what exactly are we looking for. Either it's a class or ID or something. And then blue element dot style dot background color equals blue. Okay. Unlike CSS, the DOM style property does not implement a hyphen, such as background color, but rather a camel case notation, background color. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. The following chaining syntax would also work. Alright, you can do it in one line, I guess. Query selector blue.style.font family equals Rockbotto. Alright, so you can do it either way. Alright, so style the background color of the body element in the blog post to match the Codecademy text editor. Why there's no hyphen in JS? I guess the obvious answer would be that hyphen is a operation sign. But yeah. But then again, I'm thinking about... No, I guess you can do that in an HTML, but then it becomes a bit confusing if you want to use both the HTML and all the, or like other HTML similar languages which allow you to do operations as well, such as I think Jinja allows you to do operations within an HTML. I'm not sure. I've barely encountered it while building a couple of websites in Django, but I think it does. Okay, so all we have to do is just document dot background color of the body element. So okay, document body or wait. Let's take a look at this body element. Oh, it's just a body. Okay, do we have access to these properties even if they don't exist? So if we do body dot style dot background color equals equals this. Does that work? Yeah. Okay, so we just, if it doesn't exist, I assume it just adds the style parameter. Next, change the font family of the element with the heading class to Roboto. Okay, so document dot body. No, we can do query selector dot heading dot style dot font family equals Roboto. Right? No. Maybe we have to do body still. Boy, not boy. Body. No. Font family of the element with the heading class. All right, let's do get element by class name, and let's do heading dot style dot font family equals Roboto. Still no. Get element by class name heading. You can store your element in a variable. Yeah, but this should work too, no? All right, let's get the element. Let's say heading lm equals document dot get element by class name heading. And then we just do heading lm dot style dot font family equals roboto. You can do everything in one single line, but in terms of readability, yeah. Lem. Font family document dot get element by class name. Heading. Then heading element dot style dot font family roboto. Elements. Oh. So you don't have to think if there's an S or no. Uh-huh. But still, it should select the first element with the heading, no? And there is only one. So it should still return the right one. Okay, let's do elements. No, still not happy. If we do this. Wait, no, not here. Here. Oh, now it worked. What? So heading, class, heading. There's only one element. So it means even if there's just one element, it returns something else. Now I'm curious what it returned. Return a node list. Well, yeah, it returns... Oh, because it returns an array. Okay, I get it with the elements, because it returns an array. So then you can't really style an entire array. But if I just do element, that should work. They do it with query selector. Okay. What if we do document dot body? Where is it? Let's say the... Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna mess around. Alright, let's just for the practice sake, do the same thing with query selector. I find it way easier to use query selector and query selector all. At least it's always the same syntax and there's no surprise about getting back a node list. Yeah, there's an argument to be made for that as well. Document dot query selector dot a dot heading. Right, so this should return the thing. And then we can style dot font family equals Roboto. I think it changed it. Comic Sans. Or is it like so? Okay, never mind. Yeah, I think it changed it. Okay, I mean, yeah. All right, let's recap the parent and children relationships in the DOM hierarchy. A parent node is an array that is a direct ancestor of another node. A child node is a direct descendant of another node, called the parent node. These relationships follow the nested structure of HTML code. Elements nested within one HTML element are children of that parent element. Yes, we figured that out already. Oh, it's the polite bear. He's back. These relationships follow the nested structure of HTML code. Elements nested. Oh, we already. Okay. Each element has a parent node and children property. Each element has a parent node and children property. The parent node property returns the parent of the specified element in the DOM hierarchy. What? So children of an element are viewed as properties? The parent node property. Why is this highlighted differently? Parent node property. The read-only parent node property of the node interface returns the parent of the specified node. Oh, it's just a property called parent node. I'm like, what is going on? So it returns the parent of the specified element in the DOM hierarchy. Okay, so if we wanted the parent of the list item, it would return the unordered list element. Note that the document element is the root node, so its parent node will return null. Yes. The children property returns an array of the specific element's children. So if we call children on the unordered list, it's going to return an array with either 4 lists or 1 list, but it should return with 4 list elements. If the element does not have any children, it will return null. I never knew those exist. I never used those, but I'm glad to learn that exists. The children thingy is used in React, so that's important. Well, I'm glad you're learning something here too. That's the whole point of the stream. Mostly for me to learn, but also maybe for someone else to learn something else. So in the code above, we have a unordered list element with the ID of groceries, with 4 list item elements inside. So here he's calling the parent node on the element that has the ID must have, which is the list item. So he'll get this. And then doing the same thing on the element that has the groceries ID to get the children, which should be these. All right. So here the parent element variable stores the parent node. Blah blah blah. Okay, clear. Let's move on. First, create a variable called first and set it to the child of the document body. All right. Let first equals, so the child of the document body. So document dot body dot children. No. Oh, also set the inner HTML of the first element to brown bears are awesome. So first dot inner HTML equals brown bears are awesome. Brown bears. Butcher beets. No. Wait, what is the child element of the body? It has multiple. Oh, first child. Never mind. Inner HTML 0. No. Or not here, actually. Should be here. Yep. Use the parent node property to access the parent element of the variable first and modify its style background to beige. Or line 1 after children. Yeah, I could do that. Let's try it. Just to see if it works. Yeah, works too. Then use the parent node property to access the parent element of the variable first and modify its style background color to beige. Okay. So use the parent node property to access the parent element of the variable first. So first dot parent node dot style dot back color equals beige. Yep. So it should be the body itself there. Yes. Because the first element would be the wait, body's children are title. Oh, it's formatted weirdly. Should be like this. So yeah, the first element is the H1, and then it goes back to the body. And we just add the background style beige. Beige. Yes. Yes. Alright, let's create and insert elements. Just as the DOM allows scripts to modify existing elements, it also allows for the creation of new ones. The create element method creates a new element based on the specified tag name passed into it as an argument. However, it does not append it to the document. It creates an empty element with no inner HTML. In the example above, the create element method takes paragraph as its argument, which creates an empty paragraph element, and stores it in the paragraph variable. Okay, we can assign values to the properties of the newly created element, like how we've done previously using the elements. Oh, so, okay. Then we set the inner HTML, we set the ID. Now we create elements, yeah. Above, we use the ID property to assign info as ID, and the inner HTML property to set the text inside the paragraph as the content of the paragraph element. In order to create an element and add it to the web page, you must assign it to be the child of an element that already exists on the DOM, referred to as the parent element. That's such a convoluted process, it seems like. At least to me, who's just encountering it now. We call this process appending. The append child, there's a special method too. The append child method will add a child element as the parent. The append child method will add a child element as the parent element's last child node. Okay. The following code appends the paragraph element stored in the paragraph variable to the document body. Holy crap. Okay, let's do it. Let's create a list element using the create element method and save it in a variable called new attraction. Sure. Just document create element. All right. And we are creating a list item. On the following line, assign the new attraction element an ID of Vespa. Your dot ID equals Vespa. And assign it the text rent a Vespa. Lastly, append the new attraction element to the list of top attractions with the ID of Italy attractions. Okay, so first we need to get the element. So let's say Italy attractions list equals document dot query selector and hashtag Italy attractions. No. Private identifiers are not allowed outside class bodies. Oh, parentheses? Yeah. Not parentheses, but the... This. And that. Right, so we got the thing. And now, all we have to do is just do Italy attractions list dot append child new attraction. Yeah, okay. In quotes, yeah. Keep in mind that you can only append created nodes. Well, yeah. That makes sense, no? How, because you can't append something you haven't created. That seems self-explanatory. If you select two existing nodes and try to append them together. So what you're saying is if I, for example, two existing nodes oh, so for example, if I wanted to append, let's say, this H1 and H5 to the attractions list, I won't be able to. I would have to create them, recreate them rather, as such. But I don't have to do that. Well, okay, I have to recreate them, yeah. But I can do that by simply just selecting the element itself. So I guess it's not that horrible. It's just extra hassle. I feel like this whole thing is not complicated in itself, at least not yet. It's just very time consuming. When you were learning, you got stuck a lot because of that thing? Well, thank you for warning me about it beforehand. Okay, let's move on. Remove an element. In addition to modifying or creating an element from scratch, the DOM also allows for the removal of an element. The remove child method removes a specified child from a parent. So we have the paragraph and dot body remove child paragraph. Okay, no, that's straightforward as well. In the blah blah blah. Okay, let's do this. First, save the element with the ID of Vespa as a variable named element to remove. Let element to remove equals body. No. Document dot query selector Vespa. Wait. Query selector document element to remove. Vespa query selector returns the first element that is a descendant of node that matches the selector. The descendant of the node that matches the selector. Wait, so it returns, where is it? The term descendant, that's interchangeable with child, no? So what this is saying is that query selector returns the first element that is a child of a node that matches the selector. So it doesn't return the element, but it returns the child of the element. Or am I once again doing some simple mistake here? I did the quotes. That means the ID. Element with the ID of Vespa as a variable named element to remove. Element to remove. I'll even copy paste it just to make sure. Document. Yeah. I think it's Codecademy being stupid again. What is their solution? Oh, they just want you to do get element by ID. Yeah. Get element by ID. The element to remove element is a child of the list of top attractions with the ID of Italy attractions. Okay, so we need to get the parent too, I assume. Well, we don't necessarily have to. We just do document dot query selector Italy attractions, right? And then dot remove. Oh my god, I can't type anymore. Remove child. And we just pass in the element to remove. Yep. Yeah, it is frustrating, especially when it makes you question your own code, you know? It's like, did I write this correctly? And then you start messing around with your code, and it's fine when it's like a few lines like this. But I've had instances where I had, I don't know, like a 50-line function written, and then you start messing with the function and you get to a point where you're like, okay, nothing works. And then you mess up your entire function, which originally worked just fine, except for maybe, I don't know, the return statement was missing a dot in its string. So then you mess up the function and it's you have to basically start over. Yeah, when you know it's correct, but it still doesn't work. Yeah. Okay, so removing is fine. That's one of many reasons why I'm not a fan of these sort of guided courses. Devon Zara, am I pronouncing that name? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I mean, but it happens infrequently enough for me to stick with it, you know. And yeah, you could make the argument that the editors, that's more like Devon, pronounced like Devon. Okay, Devon Zara. Yeah, so you could make the argument that it's the editor that's a bit iffy rather than the course, because the course has been incredibly useful. I don't know, they have a style of teaching that appeals to me. I don't know. Sometimes it's a bit tedious because they do tend to repeat a lot of the stuff, but other than that, it's I don't know. It works for me. I understand how it might not work for some people, how some people might need more practice on things. And there have been times where I was like, maybe I could use a little bit more practice with this or that, but you always can go to just like VS Code and try things out on your own, you know. But in terms of projects that they provide, in terms of exercises, the fact that there are quizzes, the fact that there's even exams in this course. So, well, I can't see it here, but you can actually show it. There's like module practices and whatnot. So yeah, here we're doing software engineering foundations, and after this we'll take exams basically. So the site is useful, and it's very nice. You were never good with structured learning. How do you learn? The free code camp editor, on the other hand, is absolute trash to me. Codecademy became really high quality compared to when I used it 8 years ago. Yeah, I do remember using it a while back. Maybe like 5 years ago, and I was not a fan, if I remember correctly. And then I came back to it recently and I was like, okay, this works. All right, let's move on. Let's finish this and let's move on with the next unit. We can add interactivity to DOM elements by assigning a function to run based on an event. Events can include anything from a click to a user mousing over an element. We want to learn more about events in the upcoming DOM events with JavaScript lesson. For now, let's take a look at how to modify an element when a click happens. So onClick property allows you to assign a function to run when a click event happens on an element. You can also assign the onClick property to a function by name. You love courses that give a lot of exercises? Yeah, that's useful. I mean, I feel like Codecademy gives me just enough for me to sort of solidify the theory, but not become boring. I learn by doing. Find a project idea, start building it. When I'm stuck, find documentation, articles, Stack Overflows, or even video tutorials on that sub-problem specifically that I can skim through a 2 times playback speed. Find the solution, study the solution, so I fully understand it, then we'll move on to the next task. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's the same. It's in terms of time investment, it's probably the same, because what I'm doing here essentially is I'm learning all the theory, sort of solidifying a little bit with these exercises, and then I can jump onto doing projects, which theoretically at least I shouldn't find myself in situations where I completely have no idea how to do something, right? On the other hand, when you just jump into a project, you'll be constantly stopped to have to go and look something up and then learn it and then practice it to know enough of it to be able to use it in your project. So I don't know. I feel like in terms of time investment, it's probably the same, but if it works for you, it works for you, man. Problem is to find the project idea part, at least to me. My creativity is at 0. There's I guess, okay, any kind of project, I can give you like 50 off the top of my head. Finding a project that it will interest you and it will be relatable to you, that's the harder part. All right, so what are they doing here? So they're selecting a button. They are assigning a function. Where basically they're declaring a function. Oh. What this is basically saying when this element gets clicked, we want this function to run. Oh. 12 o'clock. All right. Let's see. That's where front-end mentor comes into mind. Their project is top. Front-end mentor? Ooh. I will check that. Find a project that will win is difficult. The longer you're in the industry, though, the more projects you come up with and throw on the back burner. Yeah. I already have some projects on the back burner, and I'm, like, barely starting my stuff. Alright, so, as I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, for which neither of you were here, I have to dip out for a couple of hours because I have to go to an interview. But I will be back roughly 2 hours. So, yeah, exactly 2 hours. Should be back by then, where we will continue this course. So, a little bit irregular streaming because I usually stream without stop for 8 hours, but it is what it is. This shouldn't be a regular thing. What was the blue icon on your taskbar? This? It's my stream timer. So that when I do this, when I'm like, be right back, I can just pop in the timer here. Yeah. So yeah, guys, thanks for coming out. I'm sorry that I have to break off the stream in the middle of it, but it is what it is. So cool doggo too. Thank you. His name's Thor. So I will see you in a couple of hours if I see you. Otherwise, thanks for coming out, and I'll catch you on another stream. Bye, guys.